and good morning. Good morning. So, I'm looking at the chat, and I see several of you, my loyal and faithful viewers, who are, guys. It's just 2 days after Christmas. This is the last week of the year. New Year's coming up this weekend. I'll have a good safety brief on tap for you. But it's, most people are taking the week off, or at least several days this week, but it's across America. The world is kind of across the world, really. Businesses are shut down, not hiding from diseases or anything, but just taking a well-deserved rest. And that's perfectly reasonable and acceptable. But I see you guys are up. You're not letting that early worm get away, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm proud of you. Good morning, cup of coffee, ready to get out there and brave the world. Hell, I'm taking this morning off to go handle some errands and spend a little time with my mom and dad, and I'm still going to shoot 5 houses this afternoon. So I'm working. It ain't no playing around about that. But just like I said, it's okay and totally groovy for people to be taking time off right now. Much deserved break at the end of the year, but to see you guys up and ready to go kill it, I'm proud of you. So I've got Uncle Steve there. Good morning. And Habeas Corpses, see you. Good morning, sunshine. And Trish, good morning. Stryker, good morning. GCM, FTP, rock and roll. Sergeant Major's with us, your Majesty. I assume that means Maul's watching as well. And I see you again there, Smudge, on Facebook. Did I miss anybody? Crackshot, good morning, Crackshot. Okay, and I'm scrolling up and down the list of comments here, so I'm not sure if I got everybody, but I think I got everybody. And I see that Habeas says looks like he was unsubscribed. So yeah, there's always some shenanigans going on. Every now and then they go through and purge subscribers. In theory, it's supposed to be kind of like voting rolls. We're not supposed to get credit for subscribers that aren't active. For people that don't watch, at least X number of videos over a certain period. You guys tend to watch when we're live, so there's no way that you guys should be getting unsubscribed, but take a moment and check and make sure that you're still subscribed, because hey, we are like 5 subs away from hitting 700, which would not break my heart at all. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Normally it's considered a bit of a faux pas to ask for a subscribe right at the beginning of a video, but this is something a little different. I'm asking those of you who are already subscribers to basically double check. But while you're at it, if you're not already a sub, tap that button. So, no articles this morning, no visual aids, just my fuzzy face for the entire however long I feel like continuing to talk. So we'll see how long it takes me to really tackle the subject matter this morning. It's time for New Year's resolutions. So kind of the tradition is that you make your resolutions for the new year as part of a sort of ceremonial kind of activity on the 1st. Or on the 31st, right? On the last day of the year, you just go ahead and say out loud, next year, starting tomorrow, starting January 1st, I'm gonna do it. Whatever it is. And we all know that by a wide majority, people make New Year's resolutions and they don't keep them up. It's its own meme. Oh yeah, I'm going to resolve. People don't tend to keep up New Year's resolutions. And for the most part, I believe it's because the resolution isn't taken seriously and there's not enough consideration given to it. That's why I want to talk about it today. Right? New Year's Eve is at the end of the week. So it's on Saturday, I believe. It's either Friday or it's Saturday. The first is Sunday. So, going into the weekend, we'll talk about not driving, drinking, frying bacon naked, and all that good stuff. But I want you to think about your New Year's resolutions. Give them some legitimate thought. Grab you a blank notepad and write them down. Make a few, not too many. Right? I'd say not more than 5. If that. Pick one that is going to be a top priority. And there are some keys here. Here's what I want you to do. Get yourself a blank legal pad. Let's say, just for example, we'll go with 3. 3's a good idea, right? Pick 3 things that you need to work on. Right? I'm gonna pay off that credit card. I'm gonna lose that last 50 pounds this year. Well, I mean, next year. I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 2023. I have lost almost 50 pounds over the last 2 years. And then say I'm going to buy a new car, right? So you've got your 2 or 3, but don't just say I'm going to do this. Write it down. Weight loss, for example. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. That's a pretty reasonable goal, and one that you can probably achieve in the first half of the year. And then you got to think about keeping it off. But write it down, and then write step 1. Right? Resolve to go for a walk every morning. Like I like to listen to audiobooks on Audible. I'll throw one in my ears, right? Stick my phone in my pocket and just go for a walk. Nothing too heavy, just a walk. I have not been going to the gym for a while because my job, I spend all day walking up and down stairs and toting heavy camera equipment around. I'm okay. But, so step 1, walking. Step 2, diet. Step 3, well, that's really it, diet and exercise. No, step 3 is take your sleep schedule seriously, right? And then under step 1, 2, and 3, I want you to write down A, B, C. What goes under diet? Less sugar, less candy, right? Fewer carbs, more protein, right? Sergeant Major says lose 1 pound per month. Yeah, that's a very reasonable goal. 1 pound a week is doable, but that's pushing. GCM says he's going to film more cops. I like it. One of my resolutions, GCM, is going to be to film more things, just in general. And when I say film more things in general, I'm talking about increasing the number of... I want to decrease the number of wedding clients that I do, increase the number of corporate clients and commercial clients that I do, and I want to do more, I want to shoot more like short form comedic content for BFM. Habia says don't lose weight too fast. That's how he got gallstones and a gallbladder went septic. Yeah, none of those things sound like the one you want. But let me get back to the list, right? So you write your list, you write your plan, and go into detail, and then display it. Right? Put it on your desk. Frame it on your desk if you need to. Hang it on the refrigerator. Make copies of it and put it in multiple places. Right? Maybe even fold up a copy of it and stick it in your pocket to refer to, like your Constitution. And look at the list. Look at it every day. Now, if you're like me, probably the best thing you can do with a list of that sort is tape it to the top of your coffee pot. Or tape it to the mirror in the bathroom where you brush your teeth. Right? That's a good one to do that. Now, Habeas says he keeps a copy of his prison wallet. Is that next to your toothbrush shiv? See, we're on the same page, right? Keep it with your toothbrush. It's good stuff. Now, here's the other piece of it. It is not sufficient that you resolve to do things to improve yourself. You need to think about the self that you're trying to improve, right? You've heard me talk about some higher level philosophical concepts on the show before. I would absolutely adore it if you guys would go and read Soren Kierkegaard, The Suffering Unto Death. It is a treatise of philosophy on what is despair and what are the dangers of despair and what it means to make the effort to not despair. And this is going to get around to kind of baking your conservative values into crafting your New Year's resolutions. Now, Kierkegaard was a religious man, a Christian philosopher. Kierkegaard played Jesus on hurt me plenty mode. A big piece of Kierkegaard's philosophy was that if Christianity, if you're in any faith generally, he always couched it in terms of Christianity, but a big part of his philosophy was that if your faith is not difficult, you are doing it wrong. It should be something that challenges you. It should be something that you find difficult. I wrote a paper on this years ago entitled The Vital Work of Selfing. And I made the argument in that paper in an attempt to extend some of the concepts to a more secular audience, just to kind of broaden the consumer base for the concept, that Kierkegaard was right on a lot of things, but the model didn't necessarily need to be Christ. And understand, I didn't mean that to say that Christ is the wrong model, but rather that he's too specific a target. So Kierkegaard talks about doing the work of the self and understanding what is the self, and part of what it is to be a unique and authentic self has to do with the relationship that exists between yourself and your understanding of yourself. So, we're already into some pretty esoteric metaphysics and ephemera there when we're talking about, your understanding of yourself. But Kierkegaard takes it so far as to talk about what is the relationship, the nature of the relationship between you, the individual person, and your soul, and your spiritual essence, how you understand it as a separate entity worth contemplation, and a center there, which is the relationship between those two things. And that being the self, being your ability to understand that relationship. My wife and I often make comments, you tell your wife you love you. I love you, baby. We tell each other we love each other, and that's pretty standard in relationships. My wife and I often say, I love us. And we've actually had some pretty deep conversations about that phrase. And I'm not supposed to talk about it too much because she wants to do a show where we have a long conversation about that concept. But what I mean when I tell my wife, I love us, it's not her. I mean, I love her, absolutely. She's the other half of me, and that's forever. But specifically, I love us. We're talking about our marriage. We love what we are together, at least as much as, if not more than, we love one another, right? And when Kierkegaard's talking about that that self as the relationship between yourself and your understanding of yourself. That's kind of what he's talking about, is having an understanding of the holistic construct of you. He then goes on to discuss what it is to kind of design an objective for yourself. You know, what does future me look like? What do I want future me to look like? And for Kierkegaard, the answer to both of those questions is supposed to be Jesus. You're supposed to be a carbon copy of Christ. That's where I kind of diverge from him for this concept. And I have more of a concept of an avatar, right? There is an avatar of future me. I want future me to be happy and free and comfortable, right? I want future me to have a shinier truck or a better job or more kids. If that's, think about what you want to be, those goals. And then when you're crafting these New Year's resolutions, you're using these as kind of the roadmap / blueprint of how you move forward into a future where you look like that avatar. And if that avatar is just, I want to be Jesus Christ, go for it. But that future you might be, I'm a YouTuber with 100 million subscribers, or I'm a contractor that's building 30 houses today. Whatever that future vision is, that's that avatar. And the vital work of selfing begins with writing a plan, deciding how you're going to pursue that plan, and then constantly re-engaging and re-examining that plan. My mother says you better consult with your wife on more kids. Yeah, no. That was just a for example. That's not us. We're good. We're done. Abia says, I've got some work to do. The only similarity I have is the desire to flip tables and whip people. Yeah, I never get tired of flipping tables and whipping people. It's good for the soul. It's good right here. It's like, wine for the belly and table flipping for the soul. So Stryker says, Jesus Christ looks like me. Jesus Christ, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I left Jesus behind a long time ago, and I'm rapidly creeping up on Santa Claus. But it is what it is. So the last thing, and I'm going to close with this, the last thing I want you to consider as you're crafting these resolutions and engaging yourself in the vital work of selfing for a better tomorrow, I want you to consider how your conservative values do or should influence those objectives, right? So we'll go back to the weight loss thing. If part of your weight loss plan should include healthier eating habits, and some of the things that you can do for healthier eating habits is you can choose to try and get your meat from local farmers, right? And then you can make sure that by doing that, you're tracking on one of your objectives. You're taking a step in the right direction down the road to your vital work of selfing. And simultaneously, you can do the research on the local available options and make it a point to support local farmers who share your values, right? And that can be as simple as you're driving down the road and see a yard sign that says large brown eggs, and they've got a MAGA flag hanging off the gate. Pull in, knock on the door, say hello, go visit, buy some eggs, right? Think about, as you're crafting, think about your values and the values that you want to see advanced, right? And then is also with the conservative values, something I want all of you to start thinking about, getting involved. Baby steps at first, right? Take baby steps, get started. When people say get involved, it usually comes off as being kind of vague. But here's what I want you to do. Wherever you are, there is a Republican Party that meets. They probably meet once a month. Right. I know several of the big mucky mucks in the Georgia GOP. If you need to contact me and ask, reach out to me on Facebook Messenger is probably the best way to reach out there, and I'd be happy to help you figure out where you need to be looking. I've spent time with the Rockdale County GOP groups. I've run camera for them. I've done it in Walton County. DeKalb County. Yes, DeKalb County has a GOP group, and they're actually surprisingly large. I went and filmed Alveda King giving a speech to the DeKalb GOP, and talk about a MAGA Republican. Dr. King's niece she was all in for the Donald. But if you start off by just get on Facebook, find your local GOP group, and go get involved. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you ahead of time. Here's what you're going to find when you go to these GOP groups. You're going to be disappointed. Right? And that's on you. It's on you a little bit because you haven't been involved before. So you have not to date shaped what that group has become. You have not been there to push them and get them involved in more stuff. So when you first get to these GOP groups, you're going to find they're by and large, there are some exceptions. Believe it or not, the DeKalb GOP is one of the larger groups that I've visited with. They usually have 50 or 60 people crammed into a cafe for breakfast once a month. Good folks. A lot of great guys there. But you'll find when you go to these GOP groups that they tend to be older crowds. And I do mean, I know. But usually when I go with my mom and dad to the GOP meetings, if I wasn't there, they'd be the junior chickens in the room. I mean, older. Now, that's okay. It's a start. Bring somebody with you. Start bringing people with you. But the other thing you're going to find when you're there is that they have events. They'll have a handful of people who are ready to rock and roll and do some actual work, right? They'll bring in candidates. The candidates will come and visit with the GOP groups, so you get to meet the people you want to vote for, right? Or they'll have an events calendar, and they'll say, "Hey, we're hosting Herschel Walker at Harley Davidson for a speech next week. Please come out and show your support." Type of that's something we did last summer. That's not something that's coming up next week. Just for example. And you can go out and do that kind of stuff. And this is why I'm telling you this is important. And I want you to put this on your New Year's resolutions this year to go out and get involved. The Democrats should not have done as well as they did in the midterms. But they did. And they did it a couple of ways. They did it on turnout and ballot harvesting. And a lot of people will tell you that those two are the same thing. I'm here to tell you they absolutely are not. Turnout is getting people to vote. Make no mistake, ballot harvesters are not getting other people to vote. Ballot harvesters are going out and voting for other people. in every state where ballot harvesting is legal, as in not explicitly prohibited by law, it is being done by the Democrats. And in almost no cases are there ballot harvesters. And by the way, that's 39 states. 39 states have ballot harvesting absolutely permitted under the law. And in you're going to find very few cases where you have active ballot harvesting activities going on, that there is not some other piece of the voting law being broken. The people that are out there doing the ballot harvesting work, they are playing fast and loose with the rules. And as you all know, the FBI, the CIA, the police generally, the local and state police, your state Bureau of Investigations, they've obviously been too busy and spending too much money on censoring Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and the like, and that's why they don't have the resources. Remember when we talked about this when we were talking about the cases of voter fraud, and it was explained to me by somebody who knows, somebody who was heavily involved with some of the various court cases, that voter fraud happens in every single election. And even in the most secure elections, there is so much voter fraud that the law enforcement mechanism does not have resources sufficient to prosecute all of the dead to rights provable voter fraud, let alone all of the probable or suspected voter fraud. And so instead, since they can't prosecute all of it, they choose to prosecute none of it. Right? Well, here's a big piece of how that mechanism works. Democrats target the unemployed. They target the habitually indigent. They target people who are willing to do, you got to understand, a lot of the Democrat activists that you see out protesting and waving picket signs and all the like, they're paid to be there. Right? They're paid $10 or $12 or sometimes $20 an hour to be there waving those signs. Those are well-funded operations. We don't do that. We got jobs. We got work to do. We busy. So you'll have a conservative who, you'll have like a Steven Crowder or a Ben Shapiro or a Michael Knowles or one of these guys who's a big conservative personality will put their money on the line and go and hold a rally event, right? And nobody shows up. And that's because, unlike Democrats, unlike the Democrat target voting base, when Steven Crowder wants to stand in front of the city hall the state capitol in Michigan and talk about Whitmer murdering old people with COVID restrictions, well, the people that watch Steven Crowder are at work. They have jobs. So the crowd's not as big. Donald Trump tapped into something serious. And had thousands upon thousands of people, standing room only, in large venues. I went to a Trump rally in Macon, and they had it on a runway at the airport. And it was standing room only all the way up and down the runway. That's a shitload of people, guys. That is a shitload of people. It was a nightmare getting out of there. And yeah, like Habeas says, Seaver says, paid by community organizers like Big Mike. Yeah, Pitt Danny says he was there. Yeah, that was the one where Vernon Jones went crowd surfing. And Stryker points out the City Hall Board of Supervisors meetings are always scheduled during work hours too. That's correct. That is a trick of the Democrats, right? I'm in Rockdale County. It's controlled by Democrats. And what do? They make it a point to do all of the political stuff during normal business hours instead of doing it after business hours, right? Board of Commissioners meetings, that should be in the evening, right? I can afford to skip dinner once a month, but I maybe can't afford to skip work once a month. Oh, well, no, it's only fair that we work the same hours you work. No, bullshit. You work for me. And if the work you do for me requires me to be there, then you need to schedule that work around me. You need to schedule that work around the average person's schedule and make it easier for more people to attend. The Democrats are constantly talking about voter suppression, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to participate in the system. They are lying. They are absolutely lying. They will go out of their way to make sure that the people that they want participating can participate. So, now that's basically what I wanted to get through today. Quick summary. I think it is good, and right that you should make some New Year's resolutions. Think them through carefully, make them aggressively, write a plan, write a detailed plan. Maybe go so far as to write a PACE plan. Right? I'm going to lose weight. Here's my primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency activity. I'm going to buy that new car. Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. And as you're writing the plan, keep in mind the avatar of your future self, the objective, the creature that you intend to form as you're doing the vital work of selfing. And remember your conservative core values: limited government, minimum taxation. I would say no taxation. And, core family values, stick to your conservative principles, and get out there and get involved. Go to the GOP meeting, go to the BOC meeting, right? Go to the BOE meeting. Go pitch a temper tantrum about the pornography that they're reading to your children in public schools. And finally, here's one that I recommend everybody have on their New Year's resolution if you're not already there. Figure out, if you haven't already, figure out what you need to do to get your children away from these groomers. If you still have children that are in public education systems today, you are doing them a great disservice. You are subjecting them daily to child abuse, and you need to do what you must to put a stop to that shit. It's easier than you might think. It's harder than you might. You'd be surprised how hard it can be, but it's doable. And, I mean, what are we for, if not for crafting better us's for the future? All right. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.